Nation of Fit in 10, it is day 40, which means we've got 30 days to go. And just a reminder that you can still make some really good change. You can still make some mega massive change in this challenge in 30 days. Think about how much you've lost, and if you didn't make a good amount of loss from your first scan to your second scan, I assure you that you can. I want to remind you, look for all the points at which you can improve upon. And again, we don't have to be perfect. Perfect is great. If you can be perfect, that's awesome. But most importantly, let's look for the things that we can improve upon if we're, not where we ought to be, right? Not where I would like you to be, okay? So just work on improving those things. Certainly, I don't want you to overwhelm yourself. But at the same time, I'm sure that most of you, if not all of you, can improve in some area or areas. Okay. All right. Name something specific you can improve on for the following week. I'm going to improve on checking all my recipes and amounts on MyFitnessPal more thoroughly. Made a few mistakes with a few things this past week. Nothing substantial, but I'd like to do better, excuse me. Yeah, and I find this with myself sometimes. Sometimes I look at some of my entries and, there might be something different that I did with my diet, so I put a different entry or something. And I go back and look at it and I go, well, maybe that was a little bit off. So, yeah, I mean, again, if it's not substantial, hopefully it's not substantial. But this is certainly something that, you may want to look at. Or if you don't know whether something is accurate, or maybe you're not sure if you're doing something right, and of course, always just consult with me, send me a message. I realize that sometimes it may take me a couple days to get back to you, but I will get back to you, I promise. Okay, just send me a message. Well, you could do it through your feedback, which, by the way, hopefully you sent me. You could do it through your feedback, or you could do it through Slack. All right, how much water should one drink in a day? This is a tough one. I mean, it really depends on how much you excrete through the day. I would say I like to base this on really lean body mass, because ultimately that's what's going to hold water, essentially. Fat mass is not going to. So really, when you're dealing with water uptake and excretion, all that's really just dealing with lean body mass. Lean body mass includes everything that's non-fat. So it's not just muscle. I would suggest anywhere from, and again, this really depends on the person, anywhere from 1.5 liters to 2 liters for every 50 pounds of lean body weight. So as a female, you're probably somewhere around, it depends on your size, of course, but you're probably somewhere around 100 pounds of lean mass-ish. Now that's obviously a ballpark. It's going to vary from person to person, but probably somewhere around 100 pounds, maybe about the average. For a more muscled male or a taller male, it might be somewhere around 150. So, if we're looking, just going back to female, if you have 100 pounds of lean mass, you're looking at somewhere between 3 and 4 liters per day. For a male, again, taller or slightly heavier muscled male, you're looking at anywhere from 6 to 8 liters per day. Okay. Next, let's take a look here. And also, if you send in feedback and I didn't answer a question, please let me know. There's a bit of a glitch in my system. This is a WordPress-based website. It's sometimes a bit funky, so just let me know, okay? If I didn't answer your question, please just send me a message about it. All right. Nope, don't want to look at this one. Okay. Name something specific you need help with. Any recommendations on app to track workouts, weights, use for? Oh yeah, I was supposed to do this. Thank you. This is the second person that asked me this. All right, I need to look into this. Any suggestions, please let me know. Actually, if you have a suggestion, just put it in a Slack, put it in the general group, okay? Or the general channel. Or you put it in any of the channels, I guess. Food measurements. Need more guidance on weighing foods without relying on FitnessPal. For example, if I need 34 grams of protein, 57 grams of carbs, and 13 grams of fat per meal, what math, weight do I use on the scale to figure this out? You previously skimmed the weight of protein, carbs, and fats without going into detail. Okay, so I wasn't clear, or I wasn't clear enough for you. Okay, no problem. So let's go through this again. So foods are going to have different densities. So you have to measure things out. You can't assume if you're taking, let's say, a carbohydrate source. So let's just compare a couple carbohydrate sources here, 3 or 4. You take an orange, you take oatmeal, you take rice, and let's use those 3, okay? They're all gonna have different carbohydrate densities. So for example, you might weigh out 10 grams, and so that would be a small amount. So if you had 10 grams of orange, you're maybe gonna get, because there's a lot of water in it, you're only gonna get like maybe 2 grams of carbs, let's just say. Okay, probably even less than that. If you did 10 grams of oatmeal, oatmeal's got a bit of protein, a bit of carbs, it's fairly dry, obviously, but you're going to get, somewhere around, let me think about this before I say it. You're going to get somewhere around 2/3 of that, okay? So you're gonna get somewhere around 6 to 7 grams of carbs. If you did 10 grams of, let's say, dry rice, that's almost 100% carb. So you get, almost 10 grams of carbs. Okay, so I can't tell you because it's all different, okay? And I'm just using carbohydrates as an example. So, let's go to protein. Okay, so let's take a vegan brand of protein powder. Let's take something like Vega Sport, and let's take something like ATP Labs. Both sources of protein, both have protein in them, but the Vega protein is going to be about 60% protein. Okay, so if you took, just for simplicity, you took 10 grams of Vega protein, you're going to get about 6 grams of if you took 10 grams of the Vega protein powder, you're gonna get about 6 grams of protein, maybe even less than that. If you did 10 grams of the ATP Labs protein powder, it's 90% pure, you're gonna get 9 grams of protein. So it just depends on what it is, okay? So let's work something out here. Let's just assume that you want 34 grams of protein, 57 grams of carbs, and 13 grams of fat. What might that look like? Well, 13 grams of fat, that's basically a tablespoon of fat. Which you're probably not gonna do, well, maybe you might drizzle on some olive oil or maybe butter or something like that. But if this were nut butter, let's say, which is a little bit less fat pure, 13 grams of fat, nut butter is going to be about 28 grams. About half of it's gonna be fat. So you need 28 grams to make up that 13 grams of fat. Yeah, you're gonna get a little bit of protein, a little bit of carbs in there, but let's just leave that aside for simplicity's sake. We need 57 grams of carbs. Let's go to our carb list. Maybe it's going to be, I don't know. Maybe we're gonna have some oatmeal and a banana, okay? So let's take a 4-ounce banana. 4-ounce banana is gonna be about 23 grams of carbs. I just know this because I've been weighing and doing MyFitnessPal for so long. And then we're gonna have another, so if I deduct that from 57, we're somewhere around 35 grams of carbs. Let's just say we're gonna have some oatmeal. That's gonna be somewhere around 2 ounces, almost exactly 2 ounces of oatmeal. So there we've got our 57 grams of carbs. So I've got some nut butter, I'm having some oatmeal with banana. Again, those are carbohydrate strong foods, almost pure carbohydrates. And then if I go to protein, let's say maybe I'm gonna dump in some protein powder in that, because that would be really good. Some banana, oatmeal, and protein powder is actually really, really good. And that would look like just over a scoop of your ATP Lab, maybe a scoop and a quarter of your ATP Lab protein powder. If it was Vega protein, it would be much more than that. Probably somewhere in the neighborhood of, 70 grams or something like that, okay? Just to your second point, you previously skimmed the weight. You previously skimmed the weight of protein, carbs, and fats, 4 and 7, without going into details. I think what you're talking about here is determining, and I could be wrong, but determining your calories from your macros. So every gram of protein, so don't think of a protein source here. You have to think of the amount of protein that's in the protein source. So if you took something like, let's take a very lean protein. Let's take egg white, because that's pure protein. If we were to take an ounce of egg white, that's 28 grams, we are getting 3.5 grams of protein in that. And there is 4 calories for every gram of protein. So 4 times 3.5 is going to be 14. So 14 calories, which equals 3.5 grams of protein. Well, let me do the reverse of that. An ounce of egg white, which has no fat, no carbohydrates, pure protein. You get 3.5 grams of protein. In that 28 grams of egg white, you get 3.5 grams of protein. And calorie-wise, you get 14 calories. Okay, 4 times 3.5. Carbs, on average, are worth the same. 4 calories per gram. So if let's go back to our banana, 4 ounces of banana, about 22 grams of carbs. So 4 ounces, 114 grams. So in 114 grams of banana, specifically banana, we're getting about 22 grams of carbs, and that's gonna work out to be 88 calories, right? 22 times 4, 88 calories. In the case of the nut butter, well, there's some protein and some carbohydrates in there. But let's just keep this simple. Let's say it was an oil, so pure fat, no carbs, no protein. We get 13 grams of fat in a tablespoon. Maybe it's 14 grams, depends on exactly what it is. 13 or 14 grams, let's just say 13. 13 times 9, okay? So 13 times 9 is gonna be 121 calories, okay? So ask me again if you want me to go through this, and I can give out other examples, but hopefully that's clearing things up for you. Again, I can't tell you, I'm already at 13 minutes, crazy. Okay. The density of how much protein or how much carbohydrates or how much fat is in a certain amount of food varies from food to food. Okay, so you always have to weigh and go to MyFitnessPal, but this is the whole point. The whole point is for you to become more knowledgeable. Like I have a bit of knowledge with the foods and how much contains in what, or maybe I have a lot, whatever. I certainly don't have there's certainly a lot of foods I don't know. But when you know, then you have a much better idea of how to eyeball your foods in the future. You have a much better idea of how many calories, how much energy, how much macros, which make up your calories, how much macros you're eating in a serving of whatever. Okay. Message of the day. Message of the day is, oh, it's another one of my favorites here. Success is not final, failure is not fatal, it's a courage to continue that counts. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Again, I see this time and time again with people who are, let me say this, when people are striving towards their business or their YouTube channel, or their client base, or whatever they're trying to build. One thing I notice for people that keep progressing is they keep trying. They keep trying. And this is a, these videos are sometimes just as much of a message for myself as they are for you. I want to encourage you, whatever you're working toward, you've got to keep pursuing, you've got to keep going forward. And you will progress. Believe me, you will. Okay, and obviously part of that progression is going to be these mini failures or falls or whatever you want to call them. That's normal. All right, positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, and for the love of God, give some gratitude. I'll talk to you very soon. See you guys.